Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. Hope everybody has had a good weekend and a good previous week, and I hope everything is going well. Still lots of crazy stuff going on in the world. We all know there's all kinds of political things and government thing, all kinds of stuff going on. It's crazy. And hopefully we can get all that straightened out soon and go back to being somewhat normal, whatever normal may be for those of us here in the U.S. and, well, anywhere really. Hopefully we can all get back to a normal kind of status. Anyway, I'm glad you're all here. The weather today, not good. Weather the last couple days, not really good. And I'll get into that a little bit more as we go forward. Tonight we're going to talk about cars, as we normally do. Try to talk about Mustangs and Camaros and Plymouth and Dodge and Studebaker and Corvair and whatever it is. So if anybody is out there and you're just checking in, give us a look, give us a like, and we'll see if we can't help you out with your car question. Now, typically, what we try to do, somebody asks a good question, we try to give a good answer. If it's me or anybody over in the chat box on the side, good answers get a bell. Maybe a better bell. There we go. Also, we give random bells, conversation points, different things. Little incentive to get people involved and become part of the process. So, anyway, welcome to, again, Joe Daddy's Garage. Right off the bat, early here was Brian checking in from North Idaho. Glad you're here, Brian. Rick Gain checking in from New Jersey. Here we go again after another rough day of dealing with kidney pain. Looking forward to some good car chat. Hope everybody's doing well. Sorry to hear about your kidney issues, Rick. Like I said, I've been there. Not a fan. Not a fan. I don't want to do that anymore. Rick Stevenson, greetings from Northeast Florida. Glad you're here, Rick. Rick Gain, I'm going to stream you on the big screen, big TV again tonight. Cool. Good. Crash Rider from Southern Indiana. Yep, everything seems better after an episode with Joe. Well, cool. I'll give you a bell for that. Thank you for that. Crash Rider, be sure to hit the thumbs up. Yes. Your previous bell counts for that as well. March Indy, good video from the Inman tractor days. Yes, that was a lot of fun. I was going to talk about that, but since you brought it up, we'll go ahead and discuss this. Here locally where we live, there's some old farms around. There is some farm country. You don't see tons and tons of farming. Like I grew up in Pennsylvania. There were farms all over the place, that filled the landscape. And here in Georgia, yeah, there are farms, but not so much where we live. There's some small farms and stuff like that. A little, I don't even know if you call it, what you would call it. Not really, because you have city and town and borough and, different names for areas. But Inman is not far from where we live. And I can't say that it doesn't have its own post office or anything like that I know of. I think it's just an old name for an area. So anyway, there's a family there that has a farm, and they host events there at least once a year, sometimes twice a year, maybe even more often. I know they did an event a month or so ago where it was all kinds of antique trucks, and that was really cool. Unfortunately, it rained at that event. This past weekend, they have the Inman Heritage Days Fair or whatever. And I'd been there several times, and it's always amazing. They have a lot of old tractors, they have steam equipment. I was expecting to see a couple of different machines there this time, but they didn't have them out. They actually have a giant steam powered tractor. It's amazing, but it wasn't there. But there's all kinds of tractors. There's, your standard John Deere, Allis Chalmers, McCormick. There were some Averys, which I had never seen an Avery before. Avery, just a whole variety of things. And the one thing, my favorite thing of the whole event is the old, I don't know what you call them anymore, the one popper pumps, the kind of engine that has one cylinder that runs sideways, and it's got a flywheel on it, and it'll sit there and chug, 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 and every so often it like fires and goes pop, and then it speeds up a little bit and it chug, chug, chug. Anyway, I made a video about all that, and it's on my other channel, Joe Daddy's Workshop. So after all this is done, go watch that video and just be amazed at some of the machinery that was there. So sorry you couldn't make it, Marchini. It was a good show. And it's one of those things that every time I go there, I'm like, I'd love to have one of those, like to show and demonstrate, whether it be a tractor or one of those popper engines, just really cool things. Randy Wilson, hey guys, glad you're here, Randy. Boogie Bomb, hello all from Nashville. Hit that like button. Yes. Roger, checking in from next door. Glad you're here. Randy, Joe, after watching you, I bought a 65 Mustang Project. I'm sorry I put you through that. So you can blame me. Tell your wife it's my fault, whatever. Yeah, cool. That's a good bell. I'm glad you bought a project. That's awesome. Good luck with that. Hope it all goes well. Terry Keithley checking in. Glad you're here. Rick Gain, Aunt B from the Andy Griffith Show, drove a Studebaker as a daily driver. That is correct. Give a little bell for that. I also saw somebody had posted on one of the forums that in Back to the Future 3, I think, there was a billboard and it had a Studebaker on it, and it was like a 56 Hawk. And apparently there was a Studebaker dealership there somewhere. I did not notice that before in Back to the Future 3. So that was pretty cool to see that. Robert checking in from, well, he's probably should be in Texas. He may not be in Texas, though. I know he got some flight issues. Paul Eder, Paul at PC Panel and Paint, checking in from New Zealand. New Zealand, cool. Paul, I guess it's Eder. I don't know how else to say that. Eder. Glad you're here, Paul. I have not seen that name before, so I'll give you a bell for that. Glad you're here. Tommy Bright, hello, 66 Mustang Project. You inspired me, Tommy. I'll give you a bell too. I think did I give one to Randy? I think I did give one to Randy, but glad 66 Mustang Project. Cool. See, I like to see that. I like to hear that. YouTube user. That seems like a pretty specific name. Rob, hi from Australia, learning heaps from you. Cheers. Awesome. I am glad you're here, YouTube user. I'm glad you're here, Rob. Glad you're here. Australia, that's cool. So we have New Zealand, Australia. That's awesome. Randy, talking to Robert. March Indy hit and miss. Yeah, the hit and miss engines. That's what it is. So again, it's on my other channel, Joe Daddy's Workshop, and it's just so cool to see those things. Does a quick fire, and they had some big ones. I mean, they had some of the flywheel that was about 4 feet, massive as far as that goes, and they were really just so cool to watch. Just so cool to watch. Yeah, hit or miss. Thank you, Robert. You both get a bell. Randy Craftsman, the more I take apart this Mustang I bought, the more rust and Bondo I find. Yes, that is that's a standard process. That's how it works. That's how it works. All right, Nick checking in. Glad you're here, Nick. Randy says my wife blames you. That's fine. I'll take all the blame in the world, just so I don't have to pay anything. I'll take all the blame. I've been blamed for a lot of things, and a lot of people getting into cars. I will say that. I've had a lot of people mention that. Fly Poo is here. Glad you're here. Robert's talking to Randy. And Shane is checking in with the 64.5 Stang. Glad you're here. And Robert says, I'm still in Mentor, Ohio. The flight home tomorrow has lots of open seats. So we'll be home tomorrow. Happy to miss the last 100-degree day of the year at home. Yeah, I'll bet. I will bet. Yeah, I'm not missing any of those days. We had our fake fall a couple weeks ago. Temperatures dipped nice, and then it came back up and got hot, and now it's been raining. So we have fake spring, whatever it is. So I was planning to take Jade to what would be the last local cruise in of the year, which was this past Saturday. And that was my goal through the week, working on it, trying to take care of all whatever things I needed to have together to where it was, drivable. Now, I still don't have the trim on the front and the back, on the windshield and the back glass. I still don't have it on. I was talking to Roger about this earlier today. I've got to build up my confidence to put that trim on. I don't like trim. I don't like it. If it had, like the quarter panel trim of the fender, where it has holes, and clips, that's easy enough. Trunk emblem. Well, you've got holes and you've got little clips, and you just push it in, stand back, and go, cool. But when you get around the windshield frame and the glass and the clips and that trim can be pretty touchy. And this stuff has been, at least on the back. I'm putting all new stuff on the front, but on the back, it's been on and off the car probably several times. And so you end up with flaws in the edge, from where it's been pulled on or bent. So you got to straighten that stuff out. And then the whole idea of you got to hit it just right and get it to pop into place. So that's where I'm at. And it's got to happen this week. That's the plan. And I'm just, building up my confidence. Also, you probably can't tell, but the new steering wheel is now on the car. I had some issues with it, and I was not completely satisfied with it as far as how it fit. Now, the adapter fit, but there was an interference issue, which I've never seen before. But the adapter bolting to the steering column, it was making contact. It was rubbing on it. Well, now what do you do? That becomes pretty complicated. So going through the mental checklist of a flow chart, what do I do? Well, a couple things came to mind, and I did do one thing that I would not necessarily recommend. But what I did is I took a sanding disc, and the top of the column, I actually smoothed off the face, the face of the column. I essentially milled it down with a grinder. Okay. Now, when you do something like that, tuck paper towels around all the turn signal stuff and put tape around it and all that sort of thing. And that helped. That helped a lot, but it wasn't enough. So then it was, what's the next step? Well, I thought about taking the actual adapter, taking it to a machine shop, and milling down the face to create a gap between the two. Again, not something I really wanted to do. So here's what I did. And I'm very comfortable with this. This worked. I'm just letting you know that you can take, I created a shim, in effect, out of foil tape. Now, I'm talking like there's some metal tape that I have access to. It's about an inch wide. And I took pieces of that and I put it inside of the cone of the adapter. Okay, so the cone shape, you have the cone, and then on top of that, you have the splines, which actually indicate or actually, lock into the steering column. So you have the column itself and then the splines inside the adapter, and that locks everything together. And then the cone basically helps center things up. So what I did, I took two pieces of that foil and I put inside the taper of that cone. That's all it took. And we're talking a few thousandths thick. Put that inside the taper and then lined the spline back up, and that took care of it. That left me with enough of a gap that it didn't touch the steering column. So sometimes we look at the hard way to fix things, we don't look for alternatives all the time. Now, granted, had I been able to mill down the face of the steering column and it had clearance, I would have been happy. I would have been okay with that, but it didn't. Just letting you know, there are other ways to approach these things, and sometimes it's a simple thing. Some foil tape is all it took, and it's good to go. So no rubs, it's all set. All right, let me see what we have. I have Paul. Oh, I sent you some pics a while back now of the 66 Mustang I'm doing. It's slowly getting there, between running the shop. Okay. And it may have been quite a while from what I don't see under your name specifically. You might have a different name, which is fine. But I'm glad you're making progress. That's a good sign. Randy Doyle, words do not describe how bad it is. I'm replacing front and rear frames and just about every piece of sheet metal from floor to door skins, but it is fun. Okay. Well, as long as it's still fun, that's a good thing. That is a good thing. And Doyle says, I feel you guys on the hidden Bondo. Yeah. Yeah. We've all been there. We've all been there. If you've ever worked on one of these cars, you're going to find previous repair work somebody has done. So, Robert, the sheet metal work on these cars is fun, especially since the parts are affordable compared to other cars. That is a valid point. Mason, hey, Joe Daddy's Garage, how's it going? It's going pretty well. Hope you're doing well. Yes, I am doing well. I still have a little bit of a back issue, just a little bit of a back issue, but I'm doing pretty well. I'm getting around doing what I need to do, and things are working out. So, like I said, I tried to get the car together to take it to the last cruise in. It didn't make it. Not because of me, but because of the weather. I mean, I had the car clean, all wiped down, everything. I rolled it outside, and I was checking the skies, and all of a sudden, bloop, 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 that was it. And then it just kept raining. And I pulled it back in the garage, and I was done. So I'm hoping that I can find another event. I know there's a local place or another town near me where they do actual Cars and Coffee on Saturday morning. And I don't know if they have one scheduled. I think they actually had one scheduled this past weekend. So I don't know if they have another one scheduled. But I'm going to try to get to that. There's also, which I may try to do some filming of. I want to go to this event. It's sometime, I think it's the end of this month in Sonoya, Georgia. They have a big car show. And from what I was told, all the spots, I guess they sell the spots for people to bring in their cars. They're all sold out. So maybe I'll try to do some film work down there if I can. But I got to find somewhere to take the car at least once. Let's see. Mason wanted to ask, do you have a NOAA weather radio? I do. Mine is going off and we are under a bad storm right now. No, I do not have a NOAA weather radio, but I probably should have one. And I hope you're in a safe area to be at least being here at the chat. Ron checking in from Northeast Tennessee. How's it going, Ron? Did you get it? I know you were talking about getting a blaster lined up. I don't know if you got that figured out or not, but hope things are going okay. Chris, are the 70 Mavericks gaining popularity? That is a very good question. I think they are. I really do. Now, the early ones, I don't know what year what was the last year from the Maverick? Anybody know offhand? Like 78 or something? 77? That feels right in my mind. I can't say for sure. But the early ones are obviously, in my opinion, the better looking ones. But I think they are gaining in popularity because you don't see them very often. So what that means is somebody who had one, if they get a chance to find one, they're going to probably, be interested in it. And it's the alternative to a Mustang in effect. I mean, it's not the same car, obviously, but it's kind of an alternative to the Mustang. And, people are working on these. I mean, they're putting them back on the road. Mason wanted to ask, do you like the 67 Chevy Chevelles? That's a good question. And I'll be honest with you. I like them, but I like the 66 better. I just like the 66 better. I think the 66 is a better design for the body. They're basically the same car. I mean, you look at them side by side, and the 66 feels a little bit shorter, and I like the transition on the fenders. So like the 67, the fenders come forward, they create a peak, they kind of stick out. Where the 66, it drops back, and you can see the headlight, and you can see the trim as it tapers back on the fender, creates a subtle angle. I just like the way that looks. I just like the way it looks. The 67 just looks kind of weird to me. They did that later on in the 69 Riviera. I think the Toronado had those kind of peak things. Even later Impala, I think, had those peaks. I just don't like that as much. So, I mean, I'm okay with the 67. It's a cool car, but I prefer the 66 out of that body style. Just my opinion. Mason, one of my friends, has a 67 Chevelle, and it's got a 396 big block Muncie 4-speed manual and got some big tires on the back. That's cool. That's a cool car. I'm not going to argue. That is a cool car. I just like the looks of the 66 better. Chris, the one I'm looking at is a 77. Okay. Yeah, like I said, I don't know what the last year was for the Maverick. Now, I also don't know the interchangeability. What I mean by that is if you have, because they started doing weird things with the front end. They started like peeking them out a little more, I think. Just kind of looks a little off. And I think they have fatter bumpers as well because of safety stuff. But I don't know if what's interchangeable in the years. Like, whether you could put a front clip from a 70 or 72 or whatever onto a 77. I don't know. And I'm not suggesting you do that. I just don't know what the options are. I prefer the older look to the car. So, but again, I don't know what the options are for those kind of, modifications. Ron, yes, dustless blasting is scheduled to come by on Saturday. Then we'll be back to bare metal, a blank canvas, but clean and ready to go. Cool. Well, I say cool, but I hope you got all your money back out of these clowns that worked on your car. I really do. Doyle, Ron, there's a blaster in Lebanon, Tennessee off 70 near I-40 and a dustless in Smiths Grove, Kentucky. Good information. Crash Rider, do you have a sign that says, watch the build of this car on YouTube or something similar to draw some attention to your channel? No, I don't. No. You mean like if I take it to the cruise? I thought about that. I have thought about that. What I was going to do, I had a couple things in mind. Because right now the car is still technically not done. I was going to put some signage inside, some paperwork, that said, still under construction, waiting on parts, check out the build on YouTube, and do that sort of thing. And I had considered taking a couple of hats, putting them in the back window, maybe some stickers, and just say, check out these, take a look at the, find me on YouTube, whatever. So yeah, I have considered it, but I didn't have anything prepared, which I was going to. I actually was going to get some cardboard or something and write something up real quick and just put it in the car for Saturday, but just didn't happen. So I'll have to, I'll come up with something, but that's a great idea. Great idea. Richard, 77 was the last year for the Maverick. Okay. See, I was close. I said, I was guessing 77, 78. So thank you, Richard. Appreciate that. Crash Rider, yes, to a cruise. Yes, cool. Now, here's something else that I want to kind of springboard on or springboard off of or whatever, talking about the car and getting it ready for the cruise and all. You probably remember I've shown a couple times on the live stream the condition of the center console. Now, keep in mind that I did not have this fully assembled. When I got this car and those pieces, they were all over the place. I mean, they were together, but nothing was connected. So I did some work on the console and I got it cleaned up. I got the center piece repainted to a satin black, and when I started to put things together, I realized I was missing a piece. And I didn't research whether you could find this piece or not, but there's a little piece of aluminum. It's about that long and, about yay wide. And what it is, it finishes out the park, reverse, not, neutral, drive, low, whatever, lighting area. It's a finish piece. Well, I was missing that. I knew I had it, but it was misplaced. So I dug around and I finally found the thing. Needless to say, it was not in the best of condition. Now, it was still relatively, flat in that respect, but it had all kinds of dents and little dings in it. There's no way I'm going to get that thing straight, but I did the best I could. I smoothed it out. I took some contact adhesive and I glued it back onto the piece, and it's fine. It's fine. So I figured that out. Well, then I figured out there's a sequence, as I always say, sequence is scored, right, into how this thing goes together. Because you've got a shifter plate piece, you've got the main body, you've got the padded thing, which holds, like, it has a center trim and has a little places for your seatbelts to sit in. Also holds the ashtray. And then you have the pad and the metal piece. The metal piece holds the radio. It has a little sliding door, that where your storage area is. And then the pad that finishes everything out. So again, there's a sequence to it. So the piece that goes around the shifter, what I really find interesting, and I showed this I think last week, there's a little plastic rod that connects the shifter to the light. And it's not like you would think, okay, would there be like a little cover that moves, that unblocks the light, you know what I mean? Kind of thing, like it has a hole that moves. No, the light actually moves. The light moves back and forth underneath the shifter, which is just bizarre to me. Anyway, so I was working on putting those things together, and the little connecting rod broke. So that just kind of put me at a standstill. So everything got put together in effect, but not like completely put together. So you put down the base plate around the shifter, you put the plastic body on top of that, and there's screws that locate that in one to the other, and then the padded portion goes on top, and you build up from there. So at the time, I was just trying to solve the puzzle. I didn't make any video on it because it's like, I'm not sure what I'm doing yet. Now, whether I do make a video, I don't know yet. But I'm just saying there's a sequence to it. And I was really surprised to see that the light actually travels back and forth, with the obviously wires attached, moves back and forth. But the console, it's in the car. Now, I still have the radio to put in, and that'll come later. But I just wanted to get everything kind of cosmetically looking good in the car. Mike, who did you have shorten your AC lines on the vintage air kit? I'm having the same issue with all three. Yeah, as Robert pointed out, it was a hose shop we found on Google and called them. Some O'Reilly Auto can do it too. Yes. So that we found a company that did what was their specialty? They were like a repair shop of some sort. Like they would do custom work on modern cars, put in turbos and whatever stuff. I can't remember what all, but they had the equipment. So Google around and try to find somebody. But yeah, they had to be shortened. At least the one did. I think we just shortened one line. But I had to do that on another car that I worked on previously. I actually made the lines on that car. I didn't take one and shorten it. I completely made the line. So when I bought the kit, it didn't have anything connected to the hoses. And so I had to get everything where I wanted it and then put tape on it and threw some lines and then took it to them and said, this is exactly how it has to sit. Wrap tape around and put a hash mark so that it indexed. But anyway, Randy, I have a question. My 6.5 Mustang came with a 3-speed manual. I want to find a manual tranny that will fit with the least modifications. Any suggestions? Okay. When you say least amount of modifications, I mean, obviously, the least amount would probably be just a top load of 4-speed that came in those cars, because you've already got a bell housing, you've already got pedals, you've already got the clutch. At least from my understanding, you just get the 4-speed model for that year car, and it should plug and play. Beyond that, you're looking at buying, a 5-speed or something. And I think Harvey, I know he had done, I don't know if he has a video on that or not, but he had done the conversion, and he put in the, what did he do? I can't remember all the specifics about it, but he didn't cut the floor or anything, but I know he had to change a few things, especially with the clutch linkage. He had to modify some stuff, but your simplest bet is just to get the stock style 4-speed that came in that car, or any of the Mustangs of that era, or whatever, and just swap it. That's the easy answer. So, Mike says he tried Napa and local repair shops. No luck so far, but I'll keep trying. Yeah, I really can't point to a name and say this company will do it. But there's obviously people out there that have the equipment. So, and they'll charge you. I think they charged me $20 to do one crimp. Which, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Because we didn't even ask. We said, "Hey, can you do this?" The guy said, "Yeah." He's done. And I was like, "Oh, we didn't ask him how much he wanted to do this." At that point, you're already locked in. If he would have said $100, I would have been, I'll just go get another hose. Robert, check with the hydraulic hose shops that do hose for heavy equipment. Their equipment can usually do it as they do AC lines for equipment as well. That is a good point, Robert. Good point. Hydraulic repair place, maybe even. Well, I mean, I can't say for sure if a tractor like supply place, not like Tractor Supply, but I mean like a tractor repair place could do it. I don't know, but it's just worth an option to look into it. Terry says, Barry, I'm selling my 1950 shoebox project. Anyone out there interested? 2-door custom DLX. Well, I don't know. Anybody looking for a 1950 shoebox? That would be a Ford, I would assume. That's what I always called the Ford, the shoebox, right? So if anybody's interested, by all means, message Terry on here. Dawn, 4-speed top loader has speedo cable on the passenger side of the tail shaft. Need longer cable. Thank you, Dawn. So that's why we ask these questions. So we have people like Dawn that can answer these questions. I didn't even think about that. Of course, I didn't even know that the speedometer cable was longer between a 3-speed and a 4-speed. But Dawn would know. He's done this kind of thing. So there's your options again. And Dawn is saying some radiator shops do AC lines too, and that's within reason. I mean, that makes sense. If they can do radiator stuff, they should be able to, they should be able to handle AC stuff. But again, it's going to take some phone calls to figure out who and where and when and why and how and all that stuff. Okay. So anyway, that's where we're at with the car. I'm getting ready to, want to get the trim on the car. I got to get the console rod bought. Got to replace it. And then I need the button for the horn, because the steering wheel doesn't come with a button. You got to order that separate. So I'm going to order that. And then I still got to finish making the grill, modifying the grill for the car, mount the horns. Almost forgot about the horns. I got to get the horns on the car. And really that's, I think it's about it. Just a few more things. Kenneth, just bought the complete floor pan with frame rails and everything already welded together. Really excited to get it. It's a really big step, but a lot of work ahead of me for my 69 Mach 1. Cool. Well, I've demonstrated how to do that stuff. And It's going to be the same process, really. Take your time, cut things out, clean up the metal, prep it, clamp, measure, tack, measure, weld, put it all together and drive away. That's all you got to do. Throw some paint on it, drop the engine in, start driving. Just like that. Just like on TV. That's how they do it. Just like on TV. Shane says section line on AC can be shortened by using good hose clamps. The only max is 45 pounds. High side will need done by shop. Okay. I'll take your word for that. I'll take your word for that. I could see that working. I know by default I'm going to go get them crimped though, just because. I don't want to take that. I just don't feel comfortable with it. But I'll take your word for it that it would work. I know I would want it. For me, I would want it crimped. But you're right. Good hose clamps too. Really good hose clamps. So that's a good point. The other thing that was supposed to happen was something else that was supposed to happen. Oh, the other cruise in they had this past Saturday morning. I wasn't ready for that, so didn't get there. Just didn't happen. Now, I've already mentioned it before, and I'll bring it up again, that, this car will soon be done. And I'm thinking that I may be rolling the Camaro in here. Thinking that I may roll the basket case Camaro in here and just get all the metal on it. I did have I started a conversation with Auto Metal Direct just to see if they would respond. I basically contact them on Instagram. Now, if they respond, fine. If they don't, fine. But I asked, because I already have all the metal for this car, but it's kind of more on the generic side, it's not the best in my opinion. So I know the quality of Auto Metal Direct, and I was like, maybe, if they will offer to sponsor me at least the sheet metal for the quarters and tail panel or something, I could advertise for them and say, look, this is what you want, go buy it, type of thing. I have not heard back from them. I understand that. Now, what I might be doing, just because there's too many things around here right now in my way. So one of the things I might have to do is finish my son's little Mazda 3. I got to check out the suspension on it, figure out the check engine light, and then maybe just sell it. Maybe just sell the Mazda 3 and also the little Honda. I've got all the parts for the Honda. I've just got to get them, cut apart and welded back together, get some paint on it, and I can sell the little Honda and get two cars out of my way. So I'm going to be juggling some things, I think, short term. Along with that, I talked about this, I think, on Thursday. I've mentioned that, well, you probably already seen, I did a video for Yes Welder a month or so, 2 months ago, I don't know, for the plasma cutter. They had sent me a plasma cutter to try out. I liked it. It worked fine. I was happy with it. Yes Welder has also sent me a welding helmet and a whole nother welder. And it's I'll be honest, it's a multi-function. I don't know that I'm going to like it, but I'm going to be honest with them too. It's their MIG 205DS, and it's supposed to be MIG, TIG, stick, flux core, which is just MIG. But anyway, I will be doing a video on that probably very soon. And what I want to do is a demonstration type thing. So I won't have the Mustang in here. I will have the garage cleared out, and I'm going to do a unboxing, setup, operation. See how it does. If it works, fine. If it doesn't, I will let you know as well. Now, of course, it's brand new. I expect it to work great. I don't know what the longevity of any of these things are, but I'm going to try it out. Along with that, this is going to be the cool part, I think. Yes Welder, we're in negotiations right now. They are going to come here and shoot a background video, like with real videographers and camera people and stuff like that. They sent me a link to another one of those that they did. I don't have it in front of me, but it was pretty cool. They've done a few of these, and they're trying to do it from the human interest type of thing. What do people use these welders for, or these plasma cutters for, or what do they do? So I think that's pretty exciting. It may be coming in mid-October, I think, is whenever they're talking about coming here. I'll actually be talking to the director on Wednesday and working out the details. So what I need to do, beyond having this car movable, I might be rolling in either, like I said, either the Camaro or maybe the '67 Mustang. I don't know, because I want to demonstrate some stuff. So I need to have a vehicle that I can work on. So I may be doing that. I may be, doing a whole bunch of rearranging in the garage to get stuff out of the way. But, anyway, I think it's pretty cool. And it may help with, exposure, getting more people interested in what I do, and also, getting into the car stuff. Because the people that I've seen them do the videos on, I think one or two of them were like metal artists or sculptors doing stuff like that. So anyway, I'm pretty excited about having that happen. Brian, I plan on doing some paint work on my Ranger and then re-clearing it. What do you suggest for sanding before spraying clear, wet or dry, 400 or? Okay, so you're planning to do some paint work on the Ranger. Sanding before spraying clear. Well, let me ask you this: why do you have to sand it before you spray your clear? What kind of paint are you using? I'll tell you, because I bring this up because base coat, clear coat, PPG products, I can tell you specifically, base coat before you add clear coat, you have 24-hour window. Okay, so just looking at that now. If you want to, if you're trying to get a smoother appearance, I would wet sand it, probably with like 600. Probably with 600. But again, I'm just curious as to why you want to sand it between, unless you're just looking to get it smoother, which is fine. But normally you would just wet sand. I mean, spray base. Let it flash off X amount of time. I usually wait a couple hours for sure and then spray the clear. So Robert says, get it done and out of the shop and free up space. Yes. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Dawn says, Betsy News, floor pan getting welded in finally. That's a good sign. Let me see here. Oh, that looks good, Dawn. Let me download that real quick. And we had another email from David. It says the car show that I was talking about in Sonoya is the 25th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So thank you, David. I'm going to have to make a trip down there. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, no. Oh, that's not good. That's this weekend. That's not good. That's not good. My wife has plans. Oh, no. Oh, that's not good at all. That's not good at all. Okay. Well, let me open up this file, and I'll show you Dawn's floor pans. They're going into Betsy. Look at that. I guess you got that seat riser figured out. I know you had a question about the seat riser, but those look like they're square. They look like they're square, so hopefully you get all that squared away. Because I talked to you about it, but I didn't know if you ever got back, got it all done. Okay, David Outdoors. Hi Barry, you're a star. Well, I don't know about that. You're meant to be a star. Well, let's say. Oh wait a minute. Oh, you are a star. Yeah, not yet. Oh, re-clearing the factory paint that I don't touch. Okay. So if you're re-clearing, so you're not actually re-clearing the paint, you're re-clearing the clear coat. You're going on top of the existing clear coat, right? Is that what we're getting at? So you should be okay with 600, but I can't guarantee anything because we all know that the modern clear coats are thin. You could break through really easily, you know. You may. What kind of vehicle is this? I guess is another question. And what are your long-term plans with it? Because that's going to probably come into play too. David, my clear coat is coming off the formula. Is there a way to get old clear coat off and add new clear? No. Here's the problem. The problem with modern clear coats. Okay. Typically, your UV protectant is built into the clear coat. Once that is gone, then your base coat will also start to break down, in effect. So you're not gonna gain much by trying to save whatever paint is there. I'm just gonna say that up front. You're better off just starting over. You know, if that means sanding it down, putting primer coat on it, and then, you know, base and clear, so be it. But there is really no recovery once that clear coat starts going away. Shane, if you hit the big time, we have more Marvel characters in the background. I don't know. I'm pretty dedicated to just one, but I guess I could try to sneak some other ones in there. I could. We'll see how that happens. I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it. I know I have my particular character that I like to have. David says, nice floor pans. Yep. Okay. Brian says, okay. Yes. CSL. Have to go vote. Stay safe, Joe. Vote wisely. I don't know what you're voting for, but vote wisely. Jorge checking in. Glad you're here. Now, Robert, that feathered edging of the clear never lasts very long. No, it doesn't. It just doesn't. David probably have to go to the bare metal. Yeah. Well, probably. Brian, 96 Ranger, I'll be two-toning over the cab, doing some repair, and then re-clearing the entire truck. Okay. You know, that, like I said, 96 Ranger, all right. I can't guarantee what condition any of that's, you know, paint quality will hold up to any kind of sanding. Or my mind was going to the idea of taking just Scotch-Brite, you know, just kind of going over it gently, because the clear coat's going to be super thin. But either way, you may run into some problems. So just keep that in mind. There's really no easy way to make that work. So just keep it in mind. David, hit a like button, everyone. Yes, by all means, hit that like button. Hit that like button. You know, last week on, let's see, Thursday. Well, last week we had total, after everything was said and done, and people rewatched later, at about 669 views. Currently, we have 108 views and 31 likes is what it's showing on my stats. David, my car is off to the shop to get an alignment and new 245/50 16 tires. Cool. That's another thing I was going to talk about briefly. You know, to get this car ready to roll, when I did all the suspension on this car, everything was out. So it has new lower, new upper control arms, all new bushings on the bars, you know, the strut rods, all new bushings, all new hardware everywhere. And when I put all this together, I had basically eyeballed where the stuff was and put it back in the same spot. That's all I could do. I mean, I just didn't do much else. So anyway, I thought I had the alignment close, but I had messed with it one day and I had it way off. I had it way towed in. So I took it up and down the street and it was like all over the place because it was not correct. So I started to mess with it a little bit and I got Roger to come over and we did the basic alignment where we actually had 2 levels and we strapped them to the wheels and we took a tape measure and we adjusted it until we got them about it we thought was 1/8 of an inch toe in, you know, somewhere in that range. So we took it for a ride. Roger will tell you, it rode great. I mean, it went up and down the road, stayed straight. Well, then my friend Henry, who is more about drag racing stuff. In fact, I don't know he's the one that has this car. So that is a 68 fastback, obviously. And it was one we redid at the body shop. So anyway, Henry had the specific alignment equipment. Like he's got the plates that you can put on the floor that have bearings in them that allows you to move it all over the place and you can turn the wheels and stuff. Really cool stuff. And he also had a computer digital readout that would tell you camber and caster and all that cool stuff. So I said to Henry, I said, well, I don't trust the alignment shops because they do modern cars and a lot of times they don't even get those right. No, David, that's not pearl white. That is the Wimbledon white. That was the color, Wimbledon white. Okay, so anyway, I asked Henry to come over and give me an assist on this. So he brought his plates that you can get them off of Summit apparently, and he brought his other adapter. So we put everything on, and he was expecting it to be way off, which I wasn't sure either. So we ended up doing all the calibrations, and everything except for the alignment, the toe in, was within factory specs. I mean, and they were almost the same either side. It was really, really, really close. So it was, almost nothing. We didn't adjust anything. We tightened up the strut rods and made sure those were tight, and also the eccentrics for the lower control arm. I just made sure those were tight, so everything stayed. And we adjusted the toe in. Basically, it's about a 16th now of toe in. I haven't driven it yet, but lo and behold, we were really close. Roger and I were really close with our adjustments, and pretty excited about that. But anyway, let me see where we're at. Dawn, I've been waiting for Betsy's clear to finish peeling for 20 years. I'm sure it's probably hanging on really good on the lower parts of the car. Shane, the best thing about single stage paint, none of those clear coat issues. That is a valid point. And had I sprayed more single stage in my life, I probably would have considered doing that for this car, but I'm just not that used to it. David, I drove the car today to the shop. Oh boy, was my front end pushing. Oh yeah, that's no fun. Fred Pittman, I have an 88 Camaro. I would like to paint it in my garage. Is it best to paint in pieces or put together? Love your channel. That is a good question, Fred. And let me get a drink here before I answer that. So your question is it best to paint it in pieces or put it together? My question to you before I answer that is, what color are you painting it? What color is the car? That's the first question. Second question, are you going back to the factory color? So that could be a part 2, A, B, whatever. Are you going back to the factory color? The reason I bring that up is, are you planning on painting the door jambs and all that sort of thing? That also comes into play. I guess part 3 would be, are you doing it, you're doing it in a home garage, I guess. So we need to know those answers before I can give you a good answer or opinion on that. So let me know on that first. Brian, got to go game night with the kids tonight. Hope everyone has a good week. Thank you, Brian. Glad you were here. Now, hey, Dave, you're talking about the, this Mustang? Yeah. Yep. And that car, man, I can tell you what, I don't know if it shows up in that picture very well, but that wheel well opening, or the wheel arch, that car was actually, it's got 31-inch tires on it. So you can see the great big, tires. To make those fit, I had to, first of all, I replaced, I don't know if I did the full rocker on this car on the outside. I know I did at least a partial. I don't remember specifically, but I had to cut off, I think, 3 inches of the rocker panel to make it meet the wheel well. Because when I redid this car, I rebuilt the wheel arch. I think I did it out of 3 pieces of quarter panels. So I started with one section, and then I did another section and another section. And basically what I mean by that is that wheel arch, it's the same angle as the car in like one of these. It's the same thing. But when you stretch it to 31 inches, I believe it's 31, you can't, that whole curve has to expand like that. You can't just stretch it like this. You end up with a flat spot in the middle. Or if you try to flare it like this, you end up with weird angles. So when you look at that, you can see the tire shape follows the shape of the quarter. So to make that happen, I had to use pieces of the quarter panel, like 2 or 3 quarter panels, and cut them and get as much of the radius as I could, and then cut the next piece to change the angle slightly to keep the curve going. It took some calculating, but it turned out really nice. I don't have any completed pictures of that car here, but that's what it started as. It was actually campaigned with Castro logo on it. And you can't tell from this picture, but they had just basically taken a hammer and beat the quarter panels into shape. They didn't do any serious, cool stuff, bodywork. It was just butchered. So anyway, but that was painted Wimbledon white as well. Robert, these cars are a lot harder to align than modern cars. Yeah. I mean, the setup we used with on his with his equipment, it worked out really nice. Now, I don't know if I have. Let me see if I can get a picture of that. I took a couple pictures of the process. Yeah. And while it would be nice to have that kind of equipment, I just can't justify it. It's not cheap. But he, like I said, he used it setting up for his drag racing stuff. And Let me see if I can. Yeah, I'll open this up. So this, let me pull Robert's comment down. This is what we used. I can tell you that those plates, I think they're also, I don't know if there's a scale or not. I can't remember if they actually weigh the car too. I don't know for sure. But we were looking at these, and those plates on the bottom, they will move. Like if you jack the car up and put those underneath, the plates will actually slide out to let the suspension relax. They're floating basically, and then you can take the steering and turn it, and it just flows. It turns real easy. Now in doing that, the instructions are pretty specific as to what you do and how you operate those pieces. I can tell you this, and I'm just going to tell you because it's worth knowing. Those plates, a pair of those plates from Summit Racing, are $1,700. $1,700. That's, I mean, I really appreciate Henry let me, use them. And we had talked about making a video on it. He was suggesting it. And I said, well, the difficulty is, Henry, I don't think anybody that follows my channel is going to go out and buy some of those plates. It's not going to, it wouldn't encourage them to do a one-time alignment on their Mustang, so we didn't do that. Now, also along with that, if you look in the center of the hub, that is the digital readout. It has a bubble level on it. It actually, you remove the center cap off the, you remove the center cap out of the wheel, remove the dust cover, and that has magnets in it that locks onto your spindle. So assuming the spindle is put on, everything's correct, it zeroes out on the spindle. And then the process, it'll tell you to turn the wheels 20 degrees, index the tool, 0, turn it back, a negative 20 degree or opposite way, and then 20 degrees, level it, and it'll tell you, camber, caster, and all that stuff. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I would love to have a set of those, but I just can't justify buying them. I just can't. Just not something I can handle doing. Rick, sweet. That'll give me some donuts. That'll give me some donuts. Thank you, Rick. So anyway, I have not, you probably still hear it's raining right now. But the plan is to, get the car out, take it for another drive, make sure everything's working and doing its thing. Also, I downloaded this picture earlier, just so you can see it. Thought you might like that. Now, what you probably don't notice, you may notice, and I'm not really overly concerned about it, but the tires on the car, they're 2 different brands. Unfortunately, when I bought these tires and wheels, 3 of the tires are the same as the one on the right, and then the one on the left is a B.F. Goodrich, I believe, because the guy had a flat tire and he just bought a replacement that wasn't the same. I'm not worried about it. As long as it holds air and does what I need it to do, I'm going to drive it. Now, I don't know if you can notice or not, I actually added some tips to the exhaust on this car. When I had the exhaust put on, I really didn't think about it very much. I had the rear valance, and then this is backwards, but how do I? Anyway, rear valance came down, and then the exhaust was just sticking out past the rear valance. What I found was I could run the car, and moisture with a little bit of rust from the pipes would splash up and get on the rear valance. Not cool. Don't like that. Wasn't happy about it. So I went and bought some of these chrome tips. These are just the they call them baloney cut, where it's cut back in a 45-degree angle, I guess. Put those on and stuck them out about that far. It's still well under the bumper and not tacky, but it does look good. and it also helps keep that exhaust a little further back. So that's the other thing. And then y'all may also notice that the license plate that's on that car, that is a vintage, not modified, not refinished, 68 Georgia license plate. I think that's pretty cool. Now, in Georgia, you can run the old plates. You have to get a modern plate and keep it in the car. But you can have, an old school plate on it. So that's what I did. And I just really like that. Christian, have you worked on VW bay window buses, not in rough shape, but still need an experienced hand? I have not worked specifically on VW bay. I mean, I've worked on some VWs. The bay window buses. What are you trying to figure out? Because I know those can be pretty tricky with the way those they go together. So I could try to help you, but I don't know exactly what you have going on. And thank you for the super sticker. Appreciate that very much. Thank you. Now I want to get back to Fred. Fred hasn't answered me back yet about his 88 Camaro. So I'm hoping Fred responds back, unless I missed him. I didn't miss him, did I? Nope. Okay. Larry, new project, 69 Torino Fastback. Know any good Ford part interchange books? Let's see, 69 Torino. I can't say I know of any. I can't say that I know of any interchange books, other than what was the name of that manual? When my dad had the junkyard, we had big thick manuals. What was the name of that company? And they would tell you anything. Like you could look for a 69 Torino, and it would tell you what year model the cylinder heads fit, or what this Hollander. That's it, Hollander. Thank you, Robert. So I can't say specifically, but look up Hollander. Hollander may be an easy answer to give you some interchange information. But that is, Brett, Hollander Interchange. That is who we used. Thank you, Brett. And Roger says climbers. I've not heard of climbers, but that may be an option too. That's why we're here. Questions, answers. But I can tell you that Hollander was a good book for interchange stuff. We had several versions of that because they were the ones we had at the junkyard. They were like that thick, and you had little tabs on them, and you could go to that section, look up this car, look up this sort of thing. Great information. So, Scott, thank you, man. Now I can get donuts and coffee. Awesome. So, Larry, are you still in Japan, or are you working on something over there, or did you bring it here are you working on something in the States? Because I know in Japan that's gonna be a little tougher. I don't know if you found a 69 Torino Fastback over there. Bob Shoemaker, tardy again. These road trips are making it rough to make it on time. Well, at least you made it. I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here, Bob. And Roger, again, I haven't heard of climbers. Maybe somebody else has. That's the first I've seen that name. Actually, well, it's funny. Hold on a second. I say that. I've got a climber manual right here, but it's for Honda. Now, this is a maintenance, troubleshooting, and repair manual. I don't know that it would give you any kind of interchange information. Never heard of them, but I got one right in front of me. That's funny. I don't care who you are. That's funny. Yeah, I was looking to see what other brands of books I had over here, because you have Chilton manuals and Chilton not and Haynes. Haynes are not good. Chilton's usually pretty good, but Haynes is No. Dawn says, I know climbers. Well, and Roger says he looked it up. It's motorcycle stuff. Yeah, I got that. Oh, let's see. Rick, when I was born, I came home from the hospital in a 69 Torino Fastback. I'd love to get my hands on another one. I would do a full restoration. That's a good thing. I mean, that's cool. Came home in a 69 Torino Fastback. I don't know what I came home in. I don't even, it's really, it would be, I don't know. No idea. No idea. Jack W. I'm very late to the chat. Glad you're here, Jack. Hope you're making progress on the fastback. Larry, it's in a container heading to Okinawa. Parts are always challenging, but you being ex-military too, we find ways to make things work. Yes. Yes. Definitely. That was a weird sound. Sound like a branch scraped on the window or something over there. That's funny. The climber. I actually have a climber magazine right in front of me. And I was looking at some of the other ones. I mean, I have several that are Haynes just because that's all was available. But that's, I don't really have much else that would probably be worth mentioning. But Hollander is the one that I would be most comfortable with, at least from my memory. Dawn says 41 Plymouth Coupe for my ride home. Wow. Okay. Well, see, because my dad rotated cars so often, I couldn't tell you any. I mean, I've ridden in so many cars from the junkyard that I wouldn't even have a guess as to what I came home in. Because it would have been 67. So it's very likely it was a Studebaker. It is very likely it might have been. It's possible it could have been a 64 Daytona. That's possible. Because I know my mom was driving Studebakers, and my dad was driving Studebakers, and reason I really know that specifically because my dad used to race Studebakers. So, at least on one occasion, he was racing on a dirt track, and he broke the right rear axle. Apparently, they had weak axles, so he'd go into the turn and punch it, and he would snap the axle off. And so, at least one event I know from the stories that were told, that he went out in the parking lot and pulled the axle out of my mom's Studebaker, put it in his car, and went back and ran the race. Anyway, just one of those funny stories. Bob, climbers is to motorcycles like Haynes and Chilton's are to cars, limited information. Okay. Well, thank you for that, Bob. Oh, there you go. Shane, have you ever seen an aqua green 68 Mustang before? Actually, no. I have not. I've only seen pictures of the Gulfstream aqua cars. There's one that I follow on Instagram. It's really nice. Looks just like this car. But no, I have not seen another one. That's a good question. Brett, ever work on any 63 to 67 Corvettes? No, I have not. The earliest I worked on was a 69. What were they? I don't know if the term is right, ZL1 or whatever. 427 4-speed car. I don't remember the code, the Z code, whatever. But I did a bunch of work on one of those, but not the 63 to 67. Rick, my ride home would have been a 59 Chevy. Okay. I'm going to assume a 59 Impala, probably not a pickup. I'm going to assume when I see 59 Chevy, by default, I think truck, but I'm going to guess it was an Impala. Dawn, 9 months before was the same. Okay, the beginning and the end, all in one shot. Doyle, mine was a 56 Packard Super Clipper with air ride suspension. Wow, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. That was a big car. If I remember correctly, that was a pretty boxy car. Kind of makes you think of, I don't want to say a Hudson specifically, but like a big Rambler type, big, but I know a big car. Terry Barry came home in a 1946 Super Deluxe two-door. That's cool. That's, I find that amazing. I couldn't even, I could speculate, but for anybody to know the car they came home from, from the hospital in, that's pretty awesome. Crash Rider, I think I came home on a bus. Okay. Hey, that counts. But you probably don't know what kind of bus. Just a bus. But I think I would have to guess, very, very possible that I came home in a Studebaker. It's very, very possible. And I can only think of, I know at one point we had my brother actually had the 64 Daytona. He had that car years later. So I could probably ask my mom at some point and she would know. But it's either that or it could have been one of the Wagonaires, the station wagons that they had with the retractable roof, because I know in the 70s we were still driving these cars, and I remember going to the drive-in when I was probably 7, 8 years old, something like that. The silver drive-in, as it was called. And Dad would wind the roof in, because those station wagons had that retractable roof. And we could stand up in the back and just basically lean on the roof of the car and watch the movie. Just one of those cool things, because you could put your popcorn out there and everything. Just kind of one of those cool memories. Crash Rider, very big bus. Okay. Was it the big bus? Wasn't there a movie called that? I know there was one called The Long Trailer with Lucille Ball. I think Desi Arnaz, but I thought there was one of big bus. I think I remember some movie about that. Doyle, Dad bought it new in 56, his first new car. Okay, that's cool. Wow. 56 Packard Super Clipper, first new car. That's awesome. Robert, not sure what I came home in, but it was with the escort of the Pagans motorcycle gang. My dad helped one of them out a fire on a bike, and they escorted my mom everywhere while she was pregnant. Okay. That's pretty cool. You have the Pagans escorting you everywhere. That's really cool. Okay. Larry, I have no idea what that equals, but thank you, man. I'm guessing that's yen. I have no idea. Thank you, Larry. That's awesome. That's awesome. I don't know what the exchange rate is on yen. I have no idea, but it sure looks cool. Whatever, I guess that's 5,000 yen, I guess. But thank you, man. I can get some sushi, right? Maybe I can get some sushi. I don't know. I don't know how much that equals. Terry, reason I know is Grandma took the pick. Oh, okay. Well, at least it wasn't like Dawn where it's the same car he was conceived in. So, Larry, enough for a few cases of beer. Okay. Awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah. It's just neat to see that little symbol there. I don't know what, I guess it's, like I said, yen. But yeah. Yeah. And just for the record, I prefer Yingling. Just my default go-to beer. But there's others that I like, but I will say that. However, I prefer my Yingling. Thank you, Shane. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yeah. I prefer my Yingling, but I'll tell you this. I made a trip to, we did a cruise to Alaska for our 25th wedding anniversary. This was several years ago now. But when we got up there to Alaska, they have their own beer up there called Alaskan Amber. Good stuff. Good stuff. That's my shout out to Alaska. Alaskan Amber. If you ever get a chance, I think they sell it out west, and also up. I think you can get it like in Ohio. But if you'd get it in a bottle, not in a can. It's got to be in a bottle. Tastes much better. Just saying. And then of course, not to get off tangent here, but Oktoberfest, Sam Adams Oktoberfest is going to be out very soon. Looking forward to that. So that's where that'll go towards, Larry. Larry, sorry, only for Iron City beer. Hey, Iron City beer is okay too. Yep. All right. Of course, you know where Iron City beer is made, right? Iron City. Right? Am I wrong? It's Pittsburgh. It's got to be Pittsburgh. I know it was very popular when I grew up in Pennsylvania. So either way, thank you, Larry. Appreciate it. Okay, so I mentioned about the idea with Yes Welder coming here and doing some filming. So, I'm going to, I think I need to do a little organizing and cleaning up, and, I don't know what all I'll be able to get done. I don't want it to look like just like it does right now. I mean, the other side of the shop is pretty cleaned up. I've got it organized. I can tell you that the desk right here, this is just Clutter City. There's all kinds of paperwork, and there's a whole bunch of different hats and stuff that are hanging out up here. Empty bottles, and I mean just about everything. I got welding gloves over here. My paint sample. Anybody who's seen, I've sent hats to. I've sent these to recently. It's the actual color of jade. I sent you a little piece of that. So anyway, I want to get it looking a lot more organized. Organized is probably a good question, a good answer. But anyway, I want to get that done and just kind of think about how I want to approach the idea of them filming. Because if I'm using a plasma cutter to cut loose a panel or something, that's one thing. But I think they're more focused on doing the backstory, because I mentioned about being an aircraft mechanic, and they said one of the questions they asked, well, can we take you somewhere where we can get you around an airplane? Like my old job, I worked at Delta. I was a mechanic for Delta. Is there any way we can go back up there and film you, around a plane? I said, no, they won't let me back in the door anymore since I'm gone. And I've thought about the idea. I know somebody who used to have a pretty cool old Lockheed plane. Lockheed, well, I don't know if it's technically a 12 or 12A or whatever, that he used to have it. And unfortunately, he sold it due to health reasons. But that would have been really cool to go to that old Lockheed and, hang out with that and just kind of make some video. But I don't know what else I could do, or who I can, where I can get around for some footage like that. But I'm just playing with ideas. And yeah, so Robert says the video, because I sent Robert a link to the video they sent to me. And it's their video is more storytelling than showing you working. Yeah. And again, I think it's a backstory. That's why they were talking about having, an airplane involved or whatever. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see what they have in mind. But I still want to have the shop organized and looking decent, and have something in here that I'm, working on. Now, I thought about if I can get the 67 here, because that car is going to get cut up and turned into a fastback, right? So if I could have it here and maybe have, I would rather not have it. Well, I don't know if the convertible will be in here or not. I'd rather not. But I thought about having Jade in that location or up on the lift, so you could have like the finished car in the back and, the car being worked on in the front type of thing. I thought that might be kind of cool, but we'll see. We'll see. Terry, if you need a hideout for BP, call me. Yeah. Yeah. I know that would be, yeah. Rick, perhaps if you have some pics of you working on an aircraft. Well, that's not a bad idea. I don't know if I have anything specific in that respect. I know I've taken, pictures of work, but I can't think of anything where I would have me specifically doing something. Robert, shoot Dan Grider an email. He has a DC-3 in your area and all he can do is say no. Well, that's true. Here's another, I don't know if I could pull this off. There is a runway right near me that is next to Atlanta Motor Speedway. And those people had contacted me, not about making a video or anything like that. Some sort of heritage museum thing. They need help working on aircraft. And so they saw some of my YouTube videos and they knew that I was an aircraft mechanic. And they were like, hey, could you come down here and just put in some hours and help us get this, thing finished up? And I know they were working on I think a Huey helicopter. But I don't know if they would want me to, I don't know if it'd be worth it to go down there. I don't know. I might try to come up with something maybe I could incorporate into that, because they're looking for support, whether it's hourly, support, hands-on type thing, or even some financial stuff. So I don't know. I'll do some more research on it. Rick, you're saying roll. I guess roll the convertible outside and throw a tarp over it and forget about it at this point. I would really like to do that. I really, really would. Now, what I'll probably end up doing, well, because I know I could take the paint booth. Currently, I have the Mazda sitting back there. I can easily put something, back there out of the way, and whatever. A lot of it depends on the timeline of when they're coming here, which is supposed to be probably about a month from now. So, lots to do in between. Christian, do you own another shop where you can take on new projects besides Jade in your garage? I do not. Used to own a body shop, left that in 2013. And that's right on the time when I started working on Jade. It used to be a huge shop, but that's all gone. That was a misadventure that I wish I'd never gotten involved with. No. Now, I wish I did, but I really don't want the overhead. I don't want all the extra stuff that's involved with owning a big building and all that stuff that goes with it. I'm just not interested in that. Shane, Photoshop yourself working on a space shuttle and press the hell out of it. Yeah. Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Now, I've been waiting. I don't know what happened to. We had a paint question from Fred, and I guess we lost Fred, because Fred had asked, and I'll just answer it right now. I'll answer what I can. He says, 88 Camaro would like to paint up my garage. Is it best to paint in pieces or put it together? Love your channel. Okay, so without knowing the parameters, I had asked Fred if the car was the original color. First question, well, what color? Right? What color were you painting the car? Second part was, were you going back to the original color? The reasons for that. If you're painting anything other than black, you have to, in my opinion, paint it assembled, or as close to assembled as you can, with spacing between the fender and the pieces, whatever. Black, I've seen many, we've done it many times. You could paint, if you have a really nice black car and you take a fender, you paint the black fender away from that car and you bring it in, put it on the car. As long as the clear coat is in the same condition and everything, it's black. For the most part, black is black. It's not the same with white or red or yellow or blue or green, none of those. So I would recommend painting it together unless it's black. And then along with that, if you're going to paint it assembled, get the stuff like I've shown this before. You got this foam tape. This foam tape is designed to go in your door gaps. Okay, so you don't get overspray in there. This is why I was asking about whether you're going back with the original color or not. If your door jambs are okay and all that, and you want to live with it, fine. Get a piece of this stuff. They sell it at the paint stores or on Amazon, I'm sure. And it's got a sticky side to it. And you put this in on the A pillar, B pillar, whatever. Put it in, shut the door, and it leaves this fuzzy edge. So when you paint, you don't get overspray down inside the gaps. But that's my opinion on that. But again, a lot of variables can come into play. But you can do it in your garage, and I would probably paint it assembled. Where are we at? I'm getting close. I had to scan back down through the Doyle. Used to make C-130, C-5A, and B and B-1B bomber wings myself in Nashville in the 80s. Chem mill operator. Oh wow, that's cool. I'm hearing bugs outside. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to have any kind of imagery of me working on anything in particular as far as aircraft go. And most of the jobs that I did were not on the planes. They were in the back shops working on engine parts or sheet metal parts that were separate. And so I'm not going to really be able to come up with any of that. But, it's just one of those kind of things you think about. What can I do to make this better, help them get information out? Because, if I'm not sure if anybody follows Yes Welder. I'm sure you don't watch them on YouTube or anything like that. But you've probably heard of them, or at least heard of them through me. They seem to be a growing company. And at least from the interactions I've had, they're trying to make it. Because I'll tell you this. I had a contact through another person that comes on here who he contacted a welding supply. I don't want to bring out names, but let's just say a pretty big welding supply company, right? And they had given him a welder to test out and to evaluate and give his opinion on. And he did. He liked it, of course. And he suggested to them that they contact me about, maybe doing a collaboration with a welder of, whatever they wanted to send me, and see if I could do a video on it. So they did. They called me up and they said, okay, what do you currently have? And I told them, and I said, what do you, what kind of stuff are you doing? I told them, and, I was kind of a little, I don't know, taken aback because they didn't really seem interested. I mean, they did, but not like they were willing to put something in my hands that I could demonstrate to my 50,000 subscribers that would, make sense. So I was like, okay, fine. And they were like, well, maybe we'll contact you in the future. Okay, fine. That's fine. So Yes Welder reached out to me a few months ago out of the blue and said, hey, we would like you to try out our plasma cutter. Okay. What's your address? Oh, okay. Here you go. Here's my address. Boom. A week later, I get a brand new plasma cutter sitting in my driveway. Well, they contact me again. They liked my video, even though it was a brief video. They contacted me again about the welder and the hood, sent me links to the products, and they said, we want to send you a welder and a new welding hood. Which there was different welding hoods. Which one do you want? And I'm like, oh, okay, this is what I want. A week later, boom, here's a brand new welder. And we're not talking a $50 welder. I mean, the welder they sent me is, I think it's like $500, which was not too much different than the other company. What they were trying to, sort of not really offer me. So to somebody offer me a welder and the hood, I think was 140, 150. Fine, send it to me. I'll do a video on it to see what happens. So in the meantime, I have yet to do that video. I mean, I haven't even unboxed the stuff yet. I want to do a full unboxing, show all the pieces and parts and all that stuff. So when they contacted me and said, hey, we're interested in doing a video, a background video on you. And we talked, and we talked for probably a good half hour or more about ideas and different stuff. And then they said, well, is there anything else you want? I said, what do you mean? They said, well, do you want another welder? Is there anything? You look at our list of materials and parts, and if there's something you want some gloves? I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, let me look at your inventory, before I commit to anything. Now, one thing I did, as somebody else has suggested, and I didn't really pursue this very hard. I thought about the idea, and I don't know how I'd pull this off, but I thought about the idea to say, hey, look, why don't you give me a whole nother welder, like the one that I have, or another version or whatever, and maybe I'll give that away. Maybe I'll give that away, and that way it would be something that they get some promotion out of it, I get some views out of it, or whatever, and maybe it helps everybody. I don't know. So I'm going to talk about that again with them and see what their opinion is. Now, of course, there's probably limitations, or I don't know if I could just not actually have the welder and say, here's the person who won the drawing, send it to them, type of thing. But I am considering, trying to work that into the arrangement, because why not? Why not? Anyway. All right. Well, any thoughts on that? Any thoughts or opinions on that? You can let me know. I'm not getting any feedback. And everybody's listening right now. They're eating supper and listening to it. Let me get a drink while I'm talking. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I think it's going to be fun. And they said they might be filming for a day or a day and a half. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. And again, if it helps the channel, and if I can work it in to give one away, awesome. Even better. Even better. Beyond that, I've had a couple other people contact me about cars and projects and stuff like that. At this point, I'm like, I don't know what I can or can't do, because as I've kind of said it before, I really don't plan to do like this. I don't plan to do this again, like everything. My focus is going to be sheet metal, getting the bodies straight, putting on new panels, floor pans, firewall, all that sort of thing. That's going to be my kind of goal. I'd rather have somebody else stress out over putting on chrome and putting on interior and paint and all those things that are involved with it. So that's where I'm, I kind of like the idea of the whole welding package, because it's going to highlight what I really want to do. I don't think I'd feel as comfortable if somebody said, we want to give you I'd probably take it. If they said, we want to give you a paint gun, give it a try and see what you think. Well, I might take that. But I don't think I'd want to do a background story and say, yeah, I spray paint and I really stress out over it. I don't know. That would be as exciting. Ish. A giveaway is always a good idea. Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of, what I'm thinking. And if I can, again, pull it off, I'll work it in. So Don says he's listening, but he's also welding. Good. Good. And Doyle says, sounds good. Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, unless there's any more questions, unless anybody has anything specific they'd like to add to the conversation, I may be calling it a night. I'm pretty much covered all the topics that I wanted to talk about, and talked about the tractors. If you haven't seen it yet, go to the other channel after this and watch my tractor video on a Joe Daddy's Workshop. That's a lot of fun, cool stuff. Oh, let me see here. Scott, hi from MA. I don't know if that's Massachusetts. I sent you photos a while back of a 65 convertible. Was doing, but since moved on to an 81 TA that I am Frankensteining with an LS. What are your thoughts? Well, that's cool. By all means, put an LS in that thing. Get rid of that. I don't know what engine was in it, because some of them had Pontiac engines, some of them had Chevy engines. Yeah, do it. Get the LS in there. Drive it all the way. I'm all for it. Shane, if you do the Camaro next, you should try to buddy up to a sheet metal company, save on parts. Yeah, and that's what I was talking about earlier. I actually have all the metal for that car, but it's more of the generic stuff. And I sent a kind of a thing to Auto Metal Direct to see if they'd be interested in being involved with, providing me some panels. So that's a good idea, and I'm going to see if I can't do something with that. All right. Scott, I get a lot of grief about it, yes. Massachusetts also putting 70 nose. Wait a minute. Putting 70 nose turbo 301. Oh, okay. So Rick says the 81T would have a 301 turbo. Yeah. Throw that away. Get that thing out of there. 301 turbo, boat anchor. Get it out of there. Put that LS in that thing. Make it scream. You got my vote. If they don't like it, it's not their car. 301 turbo, really? Yeah, with the 70 nose? Yeah. It's getting better all the time. Better and better. The only thing I would like more of it was a 70 and a half Camaro, with the big open grill in the center. Love that. But yeah, put the 70 nose on it, ditch the turbo, put the LS in there, put some big fat tires under the thing, and send me some burnout pictures. That's what I want to see. Some burnout pictures. Yes. Let me see. Ish sent me a picture. Hold on a second. Since Ish sent, and Jeff, awesome, man. Awesome. Thank you for that. Oh, and I'm glad the Patreon thing started working again. I know we talked about this briefly, that I've been posting, videos to Patreon, and they're password protected. And I know some people are having some trouble with that. And Jeff contacted me and said, I can't open this thing. Well, it was his app. So he had to reload the app, and then it started working. So I'm glad to hear that. All right. So Ish found this. Just going to post it. Apparently it's a ad for a 4-wheel drive, I guess LTD. Like some sort of crazy, I don't know what you call that. Dana Corporation's 4-wheel drive wagon storms through splattering mud with full traction. And it has a V-axle transfer case, front drive shaft on either side. Interesting. That's pretty interesting. And there's a picture of it. I can't show you the picture because it's obviously I can't blow it up on my screen, but it shows it in that little picture. There's a underside shot of that car. That's interesting, Ish. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Okay. Let me get back up here. Oh, yeah. Doyle says hit thumbs up. Yes. Robert, lots of videos catch up on when I get home. Yes. Larry, good night and take care. Have to go to work and make more beer money. Good. Make it. And Rick saying, Larry, take care. I hope the publicity for the welding company does you well. Yes, I hope so too. All right. So Scott says, yes, mass haul. Yes. Formula or shaker hood? Oh, that's a tough question. I can only envision the shaker hood at the moment. I can't picture what the formula hood looks like. You can put the flaming chicken on, right? You're talking about the big flaming chicken. Is that still the formula? Is the formula, because the turbo had an offset scoop, offset thingy, hideous. Get rid of that. 70 formula. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that would be good. That has a 2 air inlets, right? I like it. Robert had a friend with a TTA, and we swapped it out in the 90s. Horrible engine. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like the whole LS. That's cool. Roger, formula had twin scoops. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Had the twin. Yeah, do it. Do it. And burnout pics. I want to see burnout pics. Okay. All right. So, yep, 2 scoops. Just like Raisin Bran, right? 2 scoops. That's you put on the side. Put your little Raisin Bran logo, 2 scoops. Just an idea. Big sticker. Okay. I'm getting off the rails here. I got to get in the house. Starting to get hungry. But, oh, wait a minute. Her Scrambler's checking in. Finished painting my AMX. Turned out good for my first paint job, but I'm having a hard time getting wet sanding scratches out of the clear coat. I don't know what you started with. You got to keep increasing. Like, if you started with, some people's actually, I start really kind of rough, but if you go with start with 1,000, 1,200, I've gone so far as with this car, I went 1,200, 15, 2,000, 25, 3,000, 5,000. You can do between 3 and a 5 too with something. But I went as far as 5,000. It still has some. I know where they're at, but it still has some that I can see. Most people will never see them, but just know that you got to keep on making finer grade of sandpaper. So anyway, all right, I'm going to call it a night. It's been great. I'm glad everybody's been here. I'll be back I'm pretty sure I'll be back Thursday at 3. Yeah, nothing going on then. And we'll talk more, see what the status is. I hope to have the trim on by then. Hope I don't have any trouble with it. Always stressful. But that'll be it. So thanks for being here. Keep watching the videos. Keep hitting the thumbs up and like buttons and all that sort of thing. And if you're all interested, check out my Patreon channel. There's a link in the banner up on the top. Like if you went up in the banner on my YouTube channel, somewhere about right there is a little button that says, there's one for Patreon, Amazon, and Teespring. So if you're interested, go check that out. But that'll be it for tonight. So until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.